Okay guys, so this is going to be part B of the video lesson. In the first video lesson I talked about the law of sines, which is a neat and useful trigonometric tool that you're going to go ahead and use for your project. The other law that you need is the law of cosines. Now the difference between the law of sines and the law of cosines is that with the law of sines, there aren't any ratios. Essentially, you are sort of given a formula which is derived from the Pythagorean theorem and from SOHCAHTOA. If you're interested about the derivation of that, you can. There's so many videos online that essentially guide you through how they arrive at the law of cosines. But what we're going to do is just go ahead and use the formula as if it was just given, and just go ahead and apply it. Essentially, what we're trying to do is we have three sides for every triangle, and all those three sides have matching angles, right? So, as we said for the law of sines, nothing has changed yet. And so we know that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus the product of b and c times 2 times the cosine of that angle, okay? So notice how for the first line I have a squared here, and the angle that I'm going to apply at the end is going to be its matching angle. Okay, and then the legs or the other sides are going to be b squared and c squared. Notice how here there is not an a term. Okay, and similarly if we look at this third line, we have c squared as the kind of the what the whole equation is equal to, and then here we have its matching side. Notice again how the sides on the other side of the equal sign are going to be a squared and b squared, and in this term there is no c term. Okay, so having established that, we're going to go ahead and proceed. Okay, now it's important to know that whenever you're trying to use the law of cosines, you need to be given at least two sides and one angle. Or if you're given two angles and one side, it's probably better to use the law of sines first. But yeah, one rule of thumb that you can use is that with the law of cosines, you have to be given two sides and one angle. Okay, so I mean, I could read the problem, but essentially I think I can deduce that they want us to find this side right there. Okay, so we're given those two sides right here. We're given 50 and we're given 30. Okay, and they're asking us to find this side right here, which I'm going to call C. Okay, now why did I call it C? I called it C because I have its matching angle right here. So that is going to be 120. Okay, so this is how I'm going to write the equation. First, I'm going to recall what the law of cosines is. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of 120. Okay, now with the law of cosines, I always like to use the degrees, the unit of degrees for the angles, but that is up to you. You can also use radians. Okay, so now we do not know C, so that's going to be our unknown, but we do know A, which is 50, so we're going to go ahead and do 50 squared plus our other side, which is going to be 30 squared minus 2 times 50 times 30 times cosine of 120. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and punch that into your calculator, and you're going to get c squared equals, forgive me for the handwriting, I'm using my finger. I definitely have to get a pen for this touchscreen. but you're going to go ahead and obtain a result. We're going to call this, I don't know, some number, a number, okay? And then you see how you still have that squared in front of the c, that exponent. So you're going to go ahead and take the square root of whatever number you get for this expression. Okay, and that is how we're going to go ahead and find the missing side c. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to solve another problem. Okay, now I might mention that I'm not kind of going over, like, you know, the exact number. I'm not doing arithmetic operations. That is because, you know, I think that everyone pretty much knows how to use a calculator, so I think we're okay. Okay, again, I could read the problem, but let's just go ahead and make this a short, nice video in which I just tell you that we need to find AB. And again, we are given two sides, one angle, and we're asked to find a missing side, x. Okay, so now you can use the same law of cosines. In this case, I'm going to use a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2ab cosine of a, right? In this case, a is going to be our missing side, so we already labeled a as x, so we're going to go ahead as put x squared equals b squared, which is going to be 45 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 45 times 20 times cosine of its matching side, so that's its matching angle, so that's going to be 150. Okay, again, you punch all this into your calculator and you're going to get x squared equals some number, and we still have the exponent 2, so in order to get rid of that, we're going to go ahead and take the square root of the number, and that is how we find the missing side. In this case, we said that a squared is x squared. Okay, but essentially you can use any of those three of these three lines right here, and you just have to be careful that the side you are finding has its angle at the end. Okay, and then inside on the other side of the equal sign you have these which are not, they do not include the side outside the equal sign. Okay, now I hope that made sense and I didn't confuse you, but the law of cosines is pretty much a straightforward law. If you have any questions and would like me to work out any additional problems, make sure you add that on the comments, or send me an email or contact me via Google Classroom.